SuperHot VR for the PlayStation 4 is an action puzzle shooter in which the player can control the speed of enemy movements, bullets, and time in general by how quickly the player themselves move. In the category of story, it receives a rating of 2 out of 10. Arguably, the game doesn't even have a story. However, it does seem to have a reason for whatever it is that is taking place to take place. Still, it never gives an explanation or even hints at an explanation to potentially come in the future. For mechanics, the game receives a rating out of 7 out of 10. Picking up items, shooting, and throwing objects is very simple with only needing a single button to be pressed and the appropriate arm movement. Dodging bullets is done by ducking and moving around them with the headset. This greatly adds to the immersiveness and requires some physical effort on the player's part, which I enjoy. Since time only moves as fast as the player moves, you can easily control the speed and thus the difficulty by moving the sticks at different speeds. Where the mechanics lose some points is with the detection area of the PlayStation camera. I often find myself turning around to shoot an enemy or leaning over to pick up a weapon on the floor, only to see my hand float away or have my camera jerk and jump viewpoints. This is especially prevalent when moving very quickly, which is when it's most vital to have tracking accuracy. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, that's not the developer's fault. I assure you though, it is. The game should have been adapted to fit the limitations of the system. For example, when 7 Days to Die was brought from PC to console, they changed the controls. It would have been unacceptable to leave the controls as WASD to move and left click to shoot. Why wouldn't the same apply to virtual reality? Though not game breaking, it is these frustrating disconnections that cause your camera to jerk, your hand to float away, and objects that were meant to go flying through the air to simply fall out of your hand that justify the point loss. Under the category of addictiveness, the game receives a score of 5 out of 10. While very similar to the next topic, addictiveness refers to how well the game makes you want to keep coming back to progress in the story, or just the game in general. I give the game a 5 in this category due to the shortness of the game and the lack of a story to drive it. However, the creative and fun levels that make you feel like a badass at every turn kept the rating from going too lower. The best way developers could have increased the rating of this topic would have been to offer a more explained story to connect the levels. Under the category of replayability, it receives an 8 out of 10. The highest scoring and arguably the best aspect of this game is its replayability. While I felt no strong urge to keep coming back to the game just to complete it, once I had completed it, I couldn't stop. The several game types encourage you to play through the levels faster or to see how many levels you can beat without dying, which kept the repetitive levels interesting. You never want to stop feeling like a badass. For immersiveness, the game receives a 6 out of 10. More of a VR related topic, immersiveness describes how well the game makes you feel like you're in the game. I didn't hit the game too hard on the realism side of immersion, since that's obviously not what the devs were going for. If the fact that you can dictate how fast time moves doesn't prove my point, then how about the fact that you're fighting humanoid Jolly Ranchers? Ducking and sidestepping to avoid bullets is a highlight of this game's VR immersiveness. It's hard to describe the exhilaration of weaving between enemy bullets, all while attempting to place your own shots on target. My biggest disappointment with SuperHot when talking about the virtual reality side of it is the lack of the ability to move. While the static levels work really well with the game, I can't help but wish for some type of movement so as to be able to use a different piece of cover or get an angle on an enemy. This is especially prevalent when one of the guys decides to hide behind a crate where they can't be shot and not move. As a side note, there is a game type called Endless in which you have the ability to grab an icon that lets you teleport to a different point in a room, but that is the only game type featuring that function. Miscellaneous notes. In this topic, I mention any crimes or credits that don't really fit any other topic, or where I might add any side notes about the game. In this case, it will be the latter. When playing SuperHot VR, you will definitely need a recommended 5 to 7 foot playing area. I can play Farpoint in Skyrim VR with about 5 feet in front of me and 2 to 3 feet on my sides and have no issues. With SuperHot, you need those extra few feet unless you enjoy punching random objects at unknown intervals. As far as a recommendation for the game, for $60 this game would be hard to recommend. However, at a meager $25, this game is difficult not to recommend. The epic moments of badassery more than make up for the game's mechanical snags. Thank you for watching.